My music teacher was being forced to resign after 30 years. What the star basketball player did at graduation left the superintendent in tears. Everyone at Westbrook High loved Mrs. Winters. For 3 decades, she transformed our underfunded music program into something special, spending her own money on instruments and sheet music when the budget fell short. She directed choir, orchestra, and band with equal passion, arriving at 6 a.m. for early bird jazz ensemble and leaving at 9 p.m. after musical rehearsals. Students who'd never considered themselves music people found themselves in her classroom, drawn by her uncanny ability to see potential in everyone. She didn't just teach notes and rhythms, she taught confidence, discipline, and unity. When budget cuts came down last November, the school board announced they would be streamlining arts education. In reality, this meant eliminating Mrs. Winters' position and replacing her with a part-time teacher for half the salary. The official reason was restructuring, but everyone knew it was because she'd vocally opposed cutting arts funding at school board meetings. The students protested. We collected signatures, wrote letters, and spoke at meetings. The administration didn't budge. Fiscal responsibility. They said Mrs. Winters would finish the year but not return in the fall. She never complained, not once. I've had 30 beautiful years, she told us during her final choir practice. Focus on the music, not on me. At graduation, Tyler Jones, our school's basketball star who was headed to Duke on a full athletic scholarship, was selected to give the student address. Tyler had never taken a music class. His connection to our school came through sports, not arts. He was our local celebrity, the kid whose games attracted college scouts and local news. When he approached the podium, he did something unexpected. He set aside his prepared speech, pulled out his phone, and sent a text. Seconds later, the back doors of the auditorium opened, and walked 50 former students spanning 3 decades, doctors, teachers, engineers, musicians, all carrying their instruments. They filed silently to the front, surrounding the graduation stage. From the crowd, another 30 current students joined them, including some of the toughest kids in school, who everyone was surprised to see holding violins, clarinets, and trumpets. Tyler stepped back from the microphone as the impromptu orchestra and choir arranged themselves. The superintendent started to stand, clearly intending to stop whatever was happening, but our principal gently pulled him back down. When everyone was in position, Tyler raised his hands, just as Mrs. Winters had taught him. During the 3 months he'd secretly been taking conducting lessons from her. This is for the woman who gave every single one of us our voice, he said. They performed Homeward Bound, Mrs. Winters' favorite closing piece from every concert for 30 years. The harmonies filled the space, voices and instruments blending in the arrangement that generations of students knew by heart. In the 3rd row, Mrs. Winters covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. The superintendent didn't stop them. He couldn't. His own daughter, now a surgeon, stood among the alumni, playing the flute Mrs. Winters had helped her purchase through a payment plan 15 years earlier. When the final note faded, Tyler spoke again. Mrs. Winters taught us that music isn't a luxury, it's essential. She showed us that we're all connected through something bigger than ourselves. He turned to where the superintendent sat. Our school is more than test scores and championships. It's about the teachers who shape us into better humans. The standing ovation lasted 5 full minutes. 3 days later, the superintendent announced a rassament of the music program restructuring. By July, Mrs. Winters' position was fully restored with a long overdue raise. When I asked Tyler why he penned the basketball star with no formal music training had orchestrated this, he shrugged. And freshman year, I was failing 3 classes and about to get kicked off the team. Mrs. Winters found me hiding in the music room during lunch. Instead of kicking me out, she taught me to play piano, said it would help with discipline and focus. He smiled. She never even liked basketball. Some teachers don't just change your schedules, they change our lives, and sometimes the students they least expect are the ones who remember it most.